Hi, thanks for stopping by. Today is February 14th, 2026, and let's get going. This is a review of our tech stack around Calendar Invite Server, which we built for AWS service. In step one here, I show a auto-generated MBA page. This page is live. You can go check it out. The particular way it's generated, I'm not going to get too much into it, but essentially it is auto-generated with our tech stack. And what we do is auto-insert these buttons into this particular page. And these buttons allow you to put an email address up here like this, Mandy's, and click the particular games you want. And then we send out the calendar invites here in step two. And in step three, the organizer, in this case here, Zach, goes into his organizer dashboard. He can see the level of data specifically for this event. And then he can click one button to get a PII formatted detailed email address from the people who use their email address in his page, specifically for this game or this game. In this case here, it's Pacers versus the Wizards, then Hawks versus the Philadelphia Sixers. I'm showing specifically game data for the Sixers. And then specifically, you'll see that this is the game data here. So 1, 2, 3, and 4 can happen in a matter of just a few minutes. And that's a setup on that page. So as we get into it, I'm leading a discussion around how Zach, the organizer, got those 1,280 games into this page here. So how did Zach do that? Well, he used an upload mechanism in his Google or Outlook calendar. In this case here, obviously he's using Google. He uploaded the data and then he sent it to a custom create box called create@calendarsnack.com. This is something set up in the Calendar Invite server when you purchase it from us. I won't get into any details around cost and all that, but essentially what Zach did was he set this up in his AWS account. He sent data to it via using his calendar client, and then he can use the create, read, update, and delete or CRUD functions within his calendar client to manipulate data that is in the Calendar Invite server. So this create command here serves as an inbound processor. It is a SES API endpoint. It starts the functions for the ETL and storage and database to actually get kicked off and actually insert data into the Calendar Invite server itself. So down here, organizers send data configured to a SES mailbox, in this case here, create@calendarsnack.com, to store, update, or delete data using the calendar client, like over here. And this process creates a mapped UID from the calendar client to the calendar event in the Calendar Invite server by this organizer name. In this case here, it's Zach at techvader.com. He gets registered with the service, and anything he sends to the create@calendarsnack.com is registered in his account. And then the Calendar Invite server pulls updates for all data that Zach manipulates, sent through this process here for the APIs used to develop the multi-event mini site. So warming you up to this idea, again, Zach's got his calendar client. He sends the data to a box, create@calendarsnack.com. When you download the Calendar Invite server, you'd set this up yourself in any domain you want, and then any address you want. I'm just using create@calendarsnack as a demo account. That data is inbound processed by the Calendar Invite server. In this case here, I can walk you through it. The Calendar Invite from Zach's calendar client is copied to the simple email service box. We, I think, beat the dead horse here, create@calendarsnack.com. The new Calendar Invite data is disassembled and stored as new in the database with an assigned UID to the organizer's calendar client email address, as I spoke about. This attaches the organizer's email address to all event data to the Calendar Invite service pipeline to be updated or canceled using the organizer's calendar client if needed. So again, this is your CRUD engine. Anytime you jam new data or update data or delete data, it's registered, and then we run this pipeline constantly. So the organizer over here can actually update data. So the update using the organizer's counter client, such as edit and save, can occur unlimited number of times before the event expires using this workflow. Examples include changing the date, time, location, or message body, or for promotional offers and subject line, message body, or secret location. Every time an edit and save are performed in the organizer's counter client for that event, the data is sent to the Counter-Invite server email box and processed and then stored in the database as an update. Cancel abides by the same workflow and can only be completed once. That data is not deleted from the database, it's just marked as canceled. So that's the inbound processor. We are using the same amount of APIs. We use 9 APIs, 7 in particular for the organizer. The 7 for the organizer generate these pages here. This is a stock one that comes with the Counter-Invite server. This one comes with it too. It would be more of a customized one for the NBA. We do include one for the NBA, the NFL, and the MLB. Those are just included Vue.js templates that generate these pages automatically. So there's no work for you to do. All the organizer needs to do is shove data into the Counter-Invite server, and then we auto ingest and visualize these pages with these click-through buttons of get the invite or send the invite. Metaphorically, what's behind there is a REST API for that UID, for that calendar invite, and then we send those out and track them. So this is the same thing here, showing you that the create command is being used. We're visualizing the stock page here, and then we're visualizing this custom page here with the same command, meaning that the same data by the organizer could toggle which custom landing page they want or stock landing page they want. That's in the Vue.j interface. So what I'm showing here is the outbound processor, which is part of our tech stack. This is a API number 1, we call it, and it's a Counter-Invite endpoint. So these Counter-Invites are embedded behind these buttons here, and when these buttons are clicked, what is going on here in the back for the outbound processor for the Counter-Invite server is that the Counter-Invite data is called using the Counter REST send API endpoint. The REST API is used to send Counter-Invites for RSVP buttons, i.e. if you embed these like in MailChimp for call to action or SendGrid or HubSpot, or embed Counter-Invites into sporting pages automatically, which I'm showing you here. This is an automated process, which we do include with it, or you use the embedded API in a GUI picker for selecting and sending Counter-Invites to an email list, commonly referred to as bulk. We do include that GUI as part of the Counter-Invite server. I'm not going to show you here today. In all use cases, the API matches the email collected to the event UID stored in the database for the event. It reassembles the Counter-Invite data from DynamoDB using ETL functions and sends the package via AWS SES raw. Again, this is our proprietary technology using the tech stack of AWS and 30 Lambda functions. Every time we send out a Counter-Invite, we're requesting a receipt from the calendar client of the customer. That data, yes, no, or maybe, is sent back to the API gateway where it's stored in the Counter-Invite server in S3 and then processed in DynamoDB for analytics and decision making. Whenever the organizer changes the data in the counter client, the changes are sent back to the server and updated. So either the organizer or the end user, anytime the data is changed, we basically are updating the data inbound and then outbound, and then inbound again when customers receive the calendar invites and they need to change their status of the calendar invite for that particular game in this case. So that said, calendar invites sent out by the outbound processor here. Simple click the buttons, Mandy gets them. I show you here that Mandy put her email address here. She sends out the calendar invites by just clicking one button. She gets those in her inbox. We collect the calendar receipt data, what her status is, and we continue to monitor yes, no, or maybe. Using API number 1 to do that. And then essentially the update processor works for CRUD, create, read, update, and delete. So Zach, the organizer, is over here. If he was to change any of the game data, that gets pushed via edit and save. that UID is tracked and mapped in our process flow up here. And the update processor encompasses all the logic built into the functions that automate the sending of the updated or canceled calendar invite messages from the organizer's client to the inbound processor. The inbound processor passes that recommended action onto the outbound processor in the calendar invite server. If the customer already has received the calendar invitation from the calendar invite sending API for that particular UID, the data in the organizer's dashboard and landing page are updated or deleted as well to reflect the current state. So again, this is an automation process using our functions and intellectual property that take on the calendar invite processing messaging flow. And examples could include the organizer change for the invite by date, time, location, or messages for promotional offers that need to be sent to a customer after they receive the first calendar invite off these web pages or emails in which they receive. An updated calendar invite is sent to those who have received the first calendar invite and have responded yes or maybe to the first calendar invite based on the UID and registered in the database. The calendar receipts are requested again and sent back to the API gateway for yes, no, or maybe responses for the event UID for analytics. This process is automated and requires no approval. When the event is canceled by the organizer in the calendar client, the canceled calendar invite is sent to the inbound processor. Then it follows the workflow to the outbound processor for distribution to all customers who have received the initial calendar invite from the calendar invite API endpoint for that specific UID. That event data is kept but tagged as canceled, and no events can be sent from there on. There is a workflow switch that can be enabled for allowing manual approval before sending any updates or canceling the invites. As a software switch by the administrator. This option is available in a Lambda function. It could be wired using the API to the GUI or a notification sent to an email addressed to the organizer to let them validate that there's been a change in the workflow status for that particular event. So let's talk about the calendar invites received. I stumbled a bit in the a few minutes ago talking about this, but this is our deep tech stack where each calendar invite we send out has a unique ID, which I spoke about. But in addition, that unique ID is requesting a participant yes, no, or maybe from each calendar invite sent. So it pops up the interface, as you can see here, correctly in a Outlook or a Google or Apple client correctly. In addition, though, because it pops up the client correctly and it's well formatted via the specific RSC specification for sending calendar invites on the internet, we are requesting the data to be sent back to the API gateway here for us on AWS Serverless Stack, specifically for the calendar invite server which we built. So the simple workflow is Mandy goes in, clicks some buttons, she gets the calendar invites, they're sent. She clicks these buttons, yes. That calendar receipt sent back here to the API gateway, and then we collect the calendar receipt data here in S3. We parse it via ETL here with a Lambda, and then it's stored in DynamoDB, and then it's visualized here as it changes. So if Mandy, the customer downstream, was to change yes to maybe or no, that data is recollected and replumbed, and the API is updated here to the service interface. That said, Detailed Organizer by reporting, I'm showing you all the upcoming events that Zach has for the NBA season that are still live, February 19th, and this one here, 76ers versus the Hawks. He can drill into this event snapshot, and the event snapshot shows you that Mandy has said yes. How would you know that? Well, Zach, who is the organizer, clicked a button, email me the invitee report, and that invitee report for that UID you'll see here across the top shows the accepted status for Mandy right here. This follows a PII correctly formatted security, whereby we do not display the data in the dashboard. You can only get it emailed to the organizer email address. But that's the specific workflow from here to here to here when you click the email to get the invited report. So that said, these are our 9 service APIs for single organizer, for organizer all events, and then for system admin. I put them in here so you can stop if you want to take a peek at them. And then particularly, this is the zoom out workflow, what I just walked you through quickly. 1, I showed you how to get data into the calendar invite server via the inbound processor. 2, the outbound processor over here picks up. When I click these buttons, we generate the calendar invites via the unique ID. We talk to AWS raw SES API. We assemble the calendar invites on the fly. We send out the calendar invites as indicated down here using the APIs down here. And then we visualize all this data in this landing page using the 1 through 7 APIs over here, with API number 1, that is the calendar invite sending API that's built into these pages. So that said, that's the same for the stock template. Both these templates, the custom one and the stock one, are included with the calendar invite server. And then these are done for you to stop YouTube and take a peek at them. These are our 30 functions that we include in the Lambdas. There's 1 through 15 and then 16 through 30. Those Lambdas are all custom and they're there for you to view if you want to know details as a nerd or gearhead. And then specifically installing the calendar invite server, we do have a complete setup guide. That setup guide will be in this blog post on Substack. And then our GitHub accounts here for the detailed wiki on the particular 1 through 30, and then a high-level design in the wiki of how the calendar invite server works. And then specifically, if you want our CloudFormation template, I will send it to you, and I'll send you out just the form in which you can fill it out for a pull request. And then we'll send you the calendar invite server itself, which includes a Vue.js front end that visualizes this whole stack and does the calendar invite landing pages for auto generation. It does the call to action buttons for MailChimp, HubSpot as well. And then it has a nice GUI engine for dropping files into a GUI and then sending out calendar invites in bulk. That's the end of the detailed discussion here today, and thanks for stopping by.